Junior Fa and his big mega fight with Joseph Parker.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that one?
Look, I mean, I haven't mixed my words here. Like, we never had Joseph Parker on the horizon. We felt we needed probably another year, a couple more fights before we fought Joseph Parker. But that's not going to happen. It's similar to Carlos's situation. Like, we can wait around with the world shut down for Carlos to get into the UFC, or we should take this opportunity. It's no different to Junior. World shut down. We might not be fighting again for a year, 2 years even. So we're taking this opportunity, and we believe Junior can win, and we're putting together a plan. We're training Junior appropriately, and we're 100% in there to cause the upset. Like,
Yeah, and that's the one thing I think, like, causing that upset, because like the casuals or people who don't really study the game, and like, obviously, yes, nothing against Joseph Parker, but he's got some big following. He's very well known, and obviously the first thing that comes into mind when he's fighting someone else is everybody would jump on his side of things. And how so early on a lot of people are putting off Junior already, and I was like,
yeah, but I mean, that's natural because Junior's the unknown entity and stuff, and Joseph Parker is a guy that's been around and fought at the highest level and had a lot of he's our hero in New Zealand. Like, he's our only heavyweight champion ever. So but it doesn't matter. Like, this is fighting. Like, this is boxing. Like, it don't matter what the odds are, my friend. Like,
one punch can end the fight.
Yeah, this is a crazy sport. So, look, if we've got this opportunity, then we're going to do everything we can to try and make the most of it. That's all I know.
So, with obviously as an MMA gym, would you say you've taught Junior Fa a few other tricks, like maybe a flying knee, like the one that Bloods did just 2 weeks or last week or 2 weeks ago, or maybe some spinning back kicks?
Honestly, I've seen Junior a couple of times try to do a couple of kickboxing moves and a couple of wrestling moves, and he's absolutely terrible. He needs
So it's probably not a good idea if he wants to jump into kickboxing and
some guys can do it. Some guys can just transition really easily, but that big fridge ain't one of them. Yeah.
The story with Junior as well, which he kind of posted this throwback photo of when he was still a boy with his afro and everything, and you guys have been training for a very long time.
Yeah.
I tell you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video.
I'll tell you a story about that little person. Because I remember when he came into the gym, like when he just started coming to the gym, he obviously he stuck out because he was massive and he had a massive afro. And he used to come to the gym with like a little trail of like 4 little guys his own age, but obviously he was huge, so he stood out amongst them. So there were always like 4 little
minions.
Well, and the other thing that stuck about them is they were all 4 little white guys.
Yeah.
And he was this massive islander that was more than 2 times their height. And he used to stroll into the gym, and they always used to follow him with their little school bags and lunch boxes and whatever. And then it was like, what is this? This is the oddest group of young, like 14-year-olds or whatever I've seen. And I remember actually sparring him, and it might have been his first sparring, and he was quite nervous about it. First ever sparring. And I remember doing a couple of rounds with him, and I was like, he was a boy, right? So I was already had quite a few fights. So I got on the inside and I like give him, I roughed him up a little bit, but I was nice, obviously, because he was new. And then come 2 or 3 months later, I came across him again and sparred him again, and it was ridiculous. I couldn't even touch him.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was a kid with the reach that he has now, but he didn't know how to use it 2 or 3 months earlier. And in the space of 2 or 3 months, learning some of the basic fundamentals and learning to use his jab and stuff, I couldn't even barely touch the guy.
And this was when you guys were being trained at Lolo's, out of
Yeah,
Lolo's
when
gym.
we were both being trained out of Lolo's room.
Wow.
Yeah. So like you can like imagine what that does for your ego when a little kid is like moving and slipping and keeping on the end of his jab, and I'm already getting frustrated and I beat the shit out of the kid 3 months earlier. It's like, but that just showed the talent and I just remember that story. Yeah.
He one of the interesting ones was I don't want to name the person who told me this, but there was so obviously Junior Fa and Joseph Parker fought a couple of times in the amateurs, and there was a fight which they had that it was held in one of the local clubs sort of thing, a very small space, and it was from what I was told, it was a controversial decision, and the decision actually went to Joseph Parker, and
well, I've only seen one of those fights.
Yeah.
And the one I saw, which is obviously I think the one you're referring to, 100% Joseph didn't win.
Yeah.
There's one thing I clearly remember.
Yeah.
Like at the end of it, you're like, man, that was
a bit weird.
Yeah, that was
a bit of a weird judging.
Like you can't. It's like fate. You can't fathom it. It's like, man, what am I looking at, and what are the judges looking at? And the stadium, like it wasn't just me. It was everybody in the stadium. So I mean, that's not to say that some of the fights that Junior won weren't like that as well.
Yeah.
Because if you got to say to yourself, if that fight can go in Junior's and Joseph's favor like that, then it might have very well happened the other way if that's the quality of the judges. So, I mean, I remember that fight. It was at the ABA.
And was there a bit of an upset in the crowd as well? Like,
I think that naturally, like that was a decision that clearly Junior won. So when you get a decision like that and it doesn't go the way of the obvious person, then there's always going to be the odd bottle that flies across the air, whatever.
It was a bit more wild,
especially when you get the Tongans and the Samoans. When they get together in the same room, like
it gets a bit wild.
Yeah.
What do you think so far? What of Junior's progress and how it's going? Reckons it's going pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, physically and mentally, Junior's like in the right place. She's got a couple. There's still a couple of loose ends that need to be tidied up, but that's to be expected this far out from the fight. This is an amazing fight because we've had the benefit of time on this in this fight. Like with a lot of fighters and professionals, and with some of Junior's other fights, we've been rushing the clock, but we've got a bit of time to keep doing a little bit of polishing.
Would you say this would be one of the biggest fights in recent times for boxing in the country?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one because you basically have a David Tua there and Shane Cameron, which was massive, and then you have Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz, and then you have this one. It's definitely top three. Where you place it amongst those top three
it varies.
It varies, and we're going to have to wait for the event and see what sort of a fight it is and how the event comes out. But it's up in the top three.
In that top three,
probably have to put it at 3 at the moment.
Yeah. Thank you for watching this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you on the next one.